Hello students, welcome to Bakeman Second International Language League. Our website is www.languageleague.info. This event has been organized by Northsouth University and Department of English and Modern Languages. Hello folks, my name is Tariq Arafat. I'm a junior teacher with the department. Today I'll be talking about debates, okay, the segment about debates. So I hope you're pumped and excited about participating. Before we start talking about debates, let's talk about the basic concepts of a debate: ethos, pathos, and logos. Okay, you might be wondering what these are. These are Greek words: ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos means your goodwill as a speaker and credibility as a speaker. Pathos means using persuasion or emotional appeal, and logos means using facts and logic to support your argument. Okay. So these three basic elements we need to have in your debate. Okay, I'm not going to go into all the details about the rules and regulations for this event. Again, you can find the information in our website www.languageleague.info. All the rules and regular guidelines are given there. And since most of you would be sort of experienced debaters, chances are that you probably would know about the guidelines. But just to kind of reiterate, we're going to be following the British parliamentary system. Okay, so basically you're going to have two sides. You're going to have three members. Okay, you'll be given a topic. Okay, and either you'll be debating in favor of it or against it, and you're going to have three members in each team. Okay, you're going to have three members in each team, and you're going to give your opening reasons and logic for your position, and then the opposition would do the same, and then you're going to have your rebuttals or responses to what your opposition said. Okay, so before we get into it, why do we debate? And let's briefly talk about the history, just very briefly. Okay, if you don't know where debating started from, think about the ancient Greeks. Think about the ancient Greeks. They started all the way back around 2,300 years during the time of Aristotle. Okay, at that time, the Greek citizens used to go to their, in Athens, used to go and debate amongst themselves and against or with government officials. Okay, in terms of what kind of policies they should have for their citizens. The rights of the citizens and what the government can do for them. So this is how the debate started, and Aristotle sort of laid down some basic guidelines for debating in terms of ethos, pathos, and logos, right? So if you're still not sure about how a debate should look like, think about your debate as like a 6-paragraph essay, right? So instead of actually writing the essay, now you're gonna say it. Okay? You're gonna divide up your arguments amongst the three members, and you're gonna have your presentation. Okay? So let's go more into detail about what type of topics you might get. Typically the topics are of three types: claims of fact, claims of value, and claims of policy. Claims of fact means you have to sort of support or give arguments whether something is true or not. Claims of value is to show whether something is valuable or not. And claims of policy is whether you should implement a policy for the people. You don't really have to worry about what type of topics you get, because the topic will be assigned to you and you have to respond to them. Okay, so you really don't have to worry about this type of topics, because you don't have any option. Whatever topic you'll be given, that's the topic you have to work on. So in order to make more sense out of our debate, let's start with an example. Let's say the topic that you have been given is the topic is the defense budget in Bangladesh should be increased. The defense budget, that means the military budget in Bangladesh, should be increased. This is a claim of policy. So you're trying to argue whether the budget should be increased, or people might argue that no, it should not be increased. Maybe the money could be used for some other, in other, for the development of other sectors. Okay, so for this position, you have to present your argument in terms of ethos, pathos, and logos. So let's start with ethos first. That means your credibility and goodwill as a speaker. You have to show some sort of connection to the topic. You have to show some type of connection to the topic, why you have chosen this position or why you have chosen this topic, and your goodwill as a speaker. That means you care about your audience, and you should sound knowledgeable about what you're saying. So knowledge comes from obviously the information that you know, and obviously from the way you deliver the message. That means your language, the way you speak, the way you make eye contact, the way you smile, the tone of voice you use, the type of pauses you have, okay, how quickly or how slowly you speak, and the pitch and loudness of your voice. So this shows that people to your audience members that maybe the person knows what he or she is talking about. Okay, so this is your credibility or ethos as a speaker. Pathos and logos, they're both important. That pathos means using emotional appeal in your speech, and logos means using facts, figures, numbers, statistics to support your position. So you need both, because people do not always follow logic. Sometimes they also need emotional appeal to make more sense out of what they just heard. Okay, so if your topic is about whether the military budget in Bangladesh should be increased, right? So one party would say yes, it should be increased, okay, and then the party against it will say no, it should not increase. The money could be used in other sectors, right? So you have 4 increment, you have 3 people in one side, and in other group, where they're saying that the money could be used in other sectors, you have 3 members as well. In your opening statement, in the introduction, okay, you may start with some rhetorical questions for emotional appeal. How? What is a rhetorical question? Questions that are asked in order to engage the audience. The audience members don't have to necessarily respond to those questions. So the question, for this topic, if you're supporting, increment in the military budget, you might say something like, start with a series of questions. You might say something like, do we sometimes feel powerless to do something about this Rohingya crisis, where Myanmar is pushing all these, ethnic minorities from Myanmar into our country? Do we feel powerless about it at times? Okay. Do we feel powerless at times when untoward incidents happen in the border? Okay. And during flag meetings, we don't get the proper respect that we deserve. Okay. Do we feel powerless at times when you have pirates and other things happening in the coastal areas of Bangladesh? And your navy is not strong enough to defend our borders in Bay of Bengal. Okay. So if you'd like to make our country safer, stronger, and more powerful, we need to increase our budget, okay, for the military. And then what you're going to do, you're going to say, hi folks, my name is such and such, and today our topic is we should increase the budget for the military. Okay, so you start with some questions to engage the audience, and then you're going to get into your argument. The first speaker may, in addition to the introduction, the first speaker may also introduce the first argument in favor of increasing the military budget. The speaker might say, for example, the first reason could be a stronger stand against Myanmar, related to the Rohingya issue, right? If you have a stronger military, then we can be more we can be more firm in our dealings with Myanmar. We could have a stronger voice. Myanmar may not have the same type of courage to do this type of atrocities that they're doing against the Rohingyas, and you provide information, news article information and such about what Myanmar has been doing towards the Rohingyas since 2017 and even way before that. Okay, so the first speaker would introduce the top, start with the introduction with some rhetorical questions and maybe talk about the first argument. Okay. And then the first speaker will have 3 minutes, so 3 minutes, roughly about 3 minutes for the first speaker, and the first speaker in favor will sit down, and then the opponents, someone from the opposing group who do not want to see the military budget increased, someone from that group would stand up and start with, again, their introduction and the first argument. The introduction might be something like, do you realize that Bangladesh is a poor country? Do you realize, for a poor country like us, so much money is being spent on the military, right? this money that we're spending for military, do you realize that this could be spent in other sectors? Would you like to see more people being employed in our country? Would you like to see more people being educated in our country? Would you like to see better healthcare in our country? Folks, my name is such and such, and today we're going to show you why the military budget should not be increased. Okay? And let me get into my first argument, folks. My first argument is healthcare. Do you know how many people in our country die from malnutrition? Young kids. Do you know that we have a lack of hospitals and doctors in our country? And then what you're going to do in this argument, the first argument, you're going to give statistics, information about medical sector, what's wrong with it, how we can make it better, where is the money going to come from, and all those things. Okay, this is your first argument against the military budget. Okay, so the first speaker from the opposing side would sit down. And then we go back to in favor, the group that's going to talk in favor. Second speaker from this group would stand up and say, here's my second argument in favor of the military budget. And we should increase the budget because when we're dealing with India regarding resolving border incidents and supporting our water rights, we would have a better bargaining chip. If we have a stronger army, blah, 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 you're going to show us, talk about, the Fulani incident and other incidents, bring those incidents up, how people are oftentimes are maybe killed or, don't get the due justice for alleged, cross-border incidents. You can talk about those and bring up some information, support your argument with not just emotional appeal, pathos, but also logic. That means facts. Those incidents, those things are, part of history now. They have happened, and you could cite those information in your speech. Okay, and then the person with the second argument in favor would sit down, and then someone from the opposing team would stand up and give their second argument against the military budget, and they might say something like, the money that we're using for the military could be used for education, and give facts, figures, numbers, statistics to show how we are lagging behind in terms of education and how we could do better. And the same thing, and then the person will sit down after 3 minutes or so, however much time he or she needs, and then we go back to the third person in favor. So third person in favor stand up and talk about, how the military helps us in terms of national disasters, floods, cyclones, hurricanes, how the military steps in and provides relief and support to the people in our country. And they'll give examples of how the military stepped in, helped the people during Sidr, or helped during other times in other times of natural disasters. You can talk about those things, and then the person will sit down, and then we go back to the opposing team, and they might talk about how the money that we're using for the military could be used for creating new jobs in our country. We could talk about how many people are unemployed, people are jobless, young people are frustrated, they're oftentimes forced to go abroad to make a living. So you could talk about those numbers and statistics to show that the money that are being used for the military could be used for something else. The increment that we're proposing for the military could be used to fund other sectors, especially education. Okay, so these are your opening statements from both sides. Now we go to a closing argument. That means this is the time for rebuttal. That means your responses, okay, to what the opposition said. Okay, so the opposition, the person in favor might stand up and say, what, someone would probably have 2 minutes, and this rebuttal could be, it's up to you. One person can actually give rebuttals to all the three arguments that were made by the opposing side. You may choose one member and have that member give responses to all the three arguments that the opposing side gave. So someone would stand up from for the military budget. Someone would stand up and say something like, the government has public hospitals in all the districts and zillas in our country, and the government is also hiring 4,000 new doctors, and they're sending these doctors to the rural communities in the faraway places to support the local population there, to provide medical services. He could also talk about and the third idea could be in terms of your rebuttal to the job sector. You might say that yes, we are not creating a lot of new jobs, but we have a lot of remittance money coming from foreign sectors, okay, and a lot of people are going abroad to bring foreign currency into our country. So why should it matter? we have very strong foreign currency reserve, and you could quote the numbers like how much money we have in reserve in the forex exchange and how it's contributing to to economic development. Okay, this is the party, the group in favor of increasing the military budget, right? Now the opponents, someone from the opposing team would get up and will probably speak for a couple, 2 or 3 minutes, and the person might say, you know what? Let me talk about what my opponents, said. The opponent said that, we need a stronger military for, for stronger borders, especially with our issue with Myanmar. But do you know that Myanmar is not by itself? Myanmar may have political alliances and treaties with other countries. It could be with China, could be with another nation in East Asia. So they may have a big brother who might step in if we try to take any kind of military action against Myanmar over the Rohingya issue. So just because we have a stronger, just because if you get a stronger military may not mean that we'll be able to tackle the Myanmar issue. Okay, so that could be one of the responses back. In terms of our border issues with India, we might say that just because we have a stronger military, it may not help us resolve the issue. Then tell us how India is a very strong country. So you could give us the information on that. And the last one, you could say that yes, the military might provide support in times of natural disasters, but we have the police force and the paramilitary who can do the same thing, right? We can empower them with better equipments, empower them with better budget to serve the the public and the community on a regular basis, and especially in times of natural disasters. So that's how you'd be setting up your persuasive speech, especially your debate. Okay, that's how you set it up, and then you'd sit down. And that's all we have to it, folks. So good luck. And in terms of the rules and regulations, again, please go to our website www.languageleague.info, and all the information is given there, so you can take a quick look on it. You could watch the YouTube video on it as well to kind of get an understanding about the British parliamentary style of debating. And good luck to you, folks. Thank you.